glass is clean, she's a sneaky hider. Hide the lies and the alibis. Oh, what a sinner. Is it in her? What's the truth in this riddle? Is love really just this simple? I can't seem to find my way in this world that never stays. What a widow, a peaceful spider. When the glass is clean, she's a sneaky hider. Hide the lies and the alibis. What a sinner. Is it in her? Is this real? Just illusion. I'm lost in the wonderland of confusion. I'm lost in the wonderland of confusion. Is this real or just illusion? Manifestation or a dark delusion? Is this real or just illusion? I'm lost in a wonderland of confusion.
Rippin' Rabbit Hole is a community-driven radio. At times the community comments may reveal prejudices and other beliefs that we or our sponsors do not condone. Views or opinions expressed by the community, callers, or guests, are those of the individual speaking and do not represent the views or opinions of this site. Rippin' Common Sense content is intended for mature audiences only. Enjoy.
Multiverse broadcasting system initiated.
Hello.
Lasers.
Multiverse connection established.
Lasers.
Hello.
Multiverse connection secure.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
This is My Life DIY, and
Hi, this is JoJo.
Hi, my name is Az.
Hey everybody, it's AJ the Rippin' Rabbit.
This is Cynthia Sue Larson.
This is your man Meta, aka Propagate This Light.
And you're now listening
to DarkWolf's Den.
The DarkWolf's Den Show on Rippin' Common Sense Radio.
Are ghosts real?
We had 1,000 hours of continuous communication with the spirit world.
Does time travel actually exist?
The laws of physics seem to be compatible with time machines.
You know, sometimes I wonder about reincarnation. Don't you?
A 4-year-old boy in Adelaide, Australia, has told his parents that he used to be Britain's Princess Diana.
What would happen if the world found out that aliens were real?
I didn't say disclosure would be easy, but what is the alternative?
To establish a space force as the 6th branch of the armed forces.
We have so many questions and yet so little time, so to have you here, the pleasure is all mine.
Coming to you from a secret cave, hidden deep within the wilderness. This is the DarkWolf's Den Show. Now, here is your host, Jerry Hicks.
That's right, I am Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf, and we are broadcasting live across the multiverse from a secret cave hidden deep within the wilderness of Tennessee. That's right, we're ripping through the electromagnetic soup, tearing through the atmosphere, and tunneling away into your radio like a quantum particle. This is the DarkWolf's Den Show for Wednesday, August 25th, 2021. So whether you're on the edge of reality, the edge of the galaxy, or the edge of your seat, we're glad you chose us to be right there with you. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we are carrying on our State of Mystery series that you guys seem to be enjoying so very much. And we're going to continue with the state of Florida. All the crazy paranormal that we could find, from UFOs to ghost cryptids and so much more. There was so much in Florida that I'm just not going to be able to cover. That is one state that is covered up with paranormal. We'll get to all that and more here in just a moment. But first, today in history. On this day in 1875, Captain Matthew Webb makes the first observed and unassisted swim across the English Channel. It took him 21 hours and 45 minutes to get all the way across the English Channel. And that is today's Today in History. An amazing feat indeed. I'm not sure that I could swim for almost 22 hours. What about you guys? Then again, if I was in Florida, maybe I'd have a lot of experience, right? Swimming. Still, 22 hours, that's a lot. Speaking of Florida, let's go ahead and get to our quote of the day today.
Say what?
And our quote today comes from author Tim Dorsey. He says, and I quote, "A prosthetic leg with a Willie Nelson bumper sticker washed ashore on the beach, which meant it was Florida. Then it got weird." End quote. Again, that is author Tim Dorsey. And that is today's segment of
Say What?
And you know what is really insane about that is a prosthetic leg with a Willie Nelson bumper sticker would still not be the strangest thing in all of the state of Florida, right? As a matter of fact, that's probably the most tame of the things we're going to hear about tonight. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here on the DarkWolf's Den Show. I very, very much appreciate it. Shout out to everybody listening in Ripon, Wisconsin, as well as worldwide. We very much appreciate that, as well as out there in the YouTube chat room. If you guys don't know, we are on YouTube, simulcasting on both the DarkWolf's Den Show YouTube channel, as well as the Ripon Rabbit Hole YouTube channel. So come on over and join the conversation if you would like, and quite a few people chatting over there. Like Michael Fontaine says, "I'm trying to catch orange lightning in clouds, BRB and a few." I do hope he's talking about possible real lightning with the camera and not a bird. Marcy Chan says, "Hey everybody." Hey Marcy. Who else we got here? Champion Sports Nation, welcome, as well as Alva Yarder, Terry Taggart, AJ the Rippin' Rabbit, glad to have you along, AJ, glad you're here, and Mandani Mal, of course. All right, ladies and gentlemen, on the DarkWolf's Den YouTube chat over here, we got Preliminal says, "Big sun flares tomorrow according to one report." I appreciate that. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. There's a heads up. It's supposed to have big sun flares, according to one report tomorrow. Sandy B says, hey, y'all. Hey, Sandy B. And that's about all we've got chatting in the DarkWolf's Den chat. If you guys on the radio want to join us live chat over here, we've got 2 different chat rooms going. We have the DarkWolf's Den Show chat room, as well as AJ the Rippin' Rabbit's Rippin' Rabbit Hole chat room over there. We are simulcasting on both channels, of course, and we really appreciate every last one of you guys being here. How's everybody been doing? I know I have had a very, very short week myself, and I'm very glad to be back on for the extended Weekends in Radio, right, guys? Anyway, it's great to see everybody over here tonight. And you guys may or may not know, but Florida has one of the most famous cryptids of all time. It's had many, many news articles and much more published about this cryptid. It is no other than
Florida Man, cryptid in the limelight.
With so many troubling accounts from all over the state, it's as if Florida Man can be in more than one place at the same time. Take, for instance, Martin Davenport, who was assaulted with multiple pizza slices in Orlando one Friday afternoon at 4:10. So why don't you elaborate on what happened?
So I was leaving work like any normal day, and as I was walking home, I heard what sounded like a man running up behind me. So I looked over my shoulder, and I see this guy with a box of pizza screaming things at me like, "This is cold now, and I can't eat cold, za."
And it's not like you work at a pizzeria of any kind.
No, not at all. That's the craziest thing. All I could do in this situation was run and hope he ran out of slices of pizza. The guy did have some crazy aim, though. Actually, I have a bruise on my back in the shape of a slice of pizza. Do you want to see it?
No.
That same day, 10 minutes later in Miami, Maria Boca de Raton witnessed Florida Man acting suspicious outside her home.
911, what's your emergency?
Hello, I think there's someone selling drugs outside of my good Christian apartment.
All right, what's your address, ma'am?
It's 69th Street. Wait, I think he's trading those drugs for... What is that? Are those Disney tickets?
Probably.
Florida man arrested for calling 911 after his cat was denied entry into strip club. Florida man claims he only drank at stoplights and not while driving. Florida man arrested for practicing karate by kicking swans in the head. Florida man breaks into jail to hang with friends. Florida man charged with assault with a deadly weapon after throwing alligator through Wendy's drive-thru window.
And you gotta watch out for that Florida man. Very, very dangerous creature. Whether he's using pizza slices or whole alligators, it's a dangerous creature to run across. So if you're in Florida, definitely keep your eyes out for the most dangerous cryptid of all, the Florida man. But in all seriousness, ladies and gentlemen, here are tonight's cryptids of Florida.
Starting off, as I mentioned earlier, I had to organize the cryptids into categories. And while I normally see a lot of Bigfoot sightings, I was shocked to see that Florida has way more lake monster cryptids than anything else.
Which I don't find all that surprising, considering it is surrounded on 3 sides by water. However, I did mention when we did another state that we were starting to find sea monsters, and that when we get around these coastal states that we'd find more and more of these stories, and that's definitely becoming the case.
In Polk County, there is said to be a monster swimming under the water's surface, and it has been there for many years. This creature is simply known as the Lake Clinch monster, or Serpent. It is described as being 30 feet long, having brown skin with prominent yellow spots, and more often than not, 2 humps are seen as it swims submerged.
You know, those 2 humps on the back reminds me of the classic Nessie picture from over in Loch Ness.
According to legend, this being has been mentioned extensively in local Native American lore as well. It is unknown if this creature is still in the lake to this day, since most all reports end around 1926. However, it is worth noting that I did find some current residents that live near the water that claim they still see it.
With these sea monsters, what do you guys think? Like, do you think sea monsters could actually be like Loch Ness and Tahoe Tessie and whatever this particular lake creature has been named? I'm sure they've given him some kind of name, as well as Champy. We've seen a lot of different creatures that we've covered on this show, especially over the last year or so, that are lake monsters like the Loch Ness Monster. Do you guys think that there are maybe some breed of plesiosaur or lake monsters that do inhabit these lakes? Go ahead and put a 1 if you think absolutely there are definitely lake monsters out there that we just haven't discovered yet, undiscovered species. Put a 2 if you think this is just a little bit too far-fetched for you. And go ahead and put a 3 if you think you're unsure, it's a good possibility, but you don't want to exactly put your bet on it just yet.
A real interesting story was said to have happened on August 30th in 1926. A prominent business owner named Charles M. Mallet decided to go out fishing on that night. A few of his neighbors saw him as he got into his boat, but that would be the last time they saw him alive. The night was clear and calm, but apparently the dwellers of the deep decided it was the perfect time for a late night meal. 3 days later, a fisherman by the name of G.D. Moore suddenly snagged something very heavy on his line. When he pulled it in, he found that it wasn't a fish, but a human body.
Which is definitely not what you want to be reeling in on the end of your fishing pole.
The corpse was so mangled and torn up that its identity could not be determined, but they did find a gold ring on one of the remaining fingers that was engraved with the name Charles M. Mallet. Upon checking Charles' house, they found that he was in fact missing, and the luggage he had set out for an upcoming business trip to Sarasota was untouched. Many are under the impression that the late Clinch monster was behind this death. It almost is reminiscent of something from the movie Jaws. The lake is fairly wide, with being reported as being 1,219 acres, but the real trouble is that it is only 55 feet at its deepest point. While a large lake monster could live in that area, it seems like it would be a bit restricted for movement. Although a lot of people hold the theory that many of the lakes in Florida are interconnected by underground waterways.
And that's an incredibly intriguing thought, that all the lakes could be connected by underground waterways. And speaking of thoughts, let's hear you guys' thoughts over in the chat room here on YouTube real quick. Remember, the question was, do you think sea monsters are actually real? 1 for absolutely yes, 2 for absolutely no, and 3 for absolutely unsure. What are you guys saying over here? Mandani Mole says 1, absolutely. Rippin' Rabbit Hole with a 1, absolutely sure these things exist. Marcy Chan with a 1, Dave Tate with a 3, surprisingly enough. Terry Taggart also with a 3, not quite sure whether they exist or not. Marcy Chan says they're supposed to be dogmen here, also Chupacabra. Never know. Florida Man strikes again, says Mandani Mole. And Rippin' Rabbit, AJ the Rippin' Rabbit, says we're going to need a bigger boat. Of course, that is a Mandela effect for those that don't know. The line now is actually, you're going to need a bigger boat, but I also remember we are going to need a bigger boat.
The last monster that I want to talk about is said to make its home in the briny waters of Lake Worth Lagoon, and it is called the Muck Monster. Before starting this story, a lot of people doubt the credibility of it due to the mass commercialization of it, but I think it does deserve a closer look.
To be a massively commercialized cryptid, I've actually never heard of this one.
In August of 2009, 2 men named Greg Reynolds and Dan Serrano from the non-profit Lagoon Keepers organization came across something that they would never forget. Their organization makes trips to the lake to clean up garbage that may be floating on the surface of the water or on the shore. On that day, the 2 men were sent out to recover what they were told was a giant log. When they neared the log, they realized it was actually a large unknown animal. The creature immediately took off and the 2 men followed it. They said every time they got within 10 feet of it, it would dive down in the water. After following it for some time, it finally dove deep and stayed down. Not much description is given to it other than it producing strange double waves. Greg posted the video that he captured of the creature to his company's website, and suddenly the media frenzy began. The video gained 4 million views and was featured on quite a few news stories. The city commissioner saw the popularity of the video and decided to capitalize on it in every imaginable way. Due to this, the story has lost its appeal to many serious cryptozoologists. The thing is that Greg did try to sell shirts with profits going to his company, but all in all, I really got the vibe that he didn't want it to be the tourist attraction that the commissioner was making it out to be. Many people claim it was possibly a manatee, but the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission looked at the video and didn't know what the creature was.
Ooh, that one sounds a little shady with him trying to make money off of it, but even though, the mayor and the media did do their best to destroy this, we know when the media gets involved, it's going to turn to garbage anyway. It always does with the mainstream media. But I'm curious on this one, guys. Do you think we should throw this one out because of the mass commercialization behind it and the fact that it's a big money maker? Or do you think we should count it as a legit cryptid? Go ahead and let me know in the chat room over there in the YouTubes, in DarkWolf's Den and Rippin' Rabbit Hole YouTubes. Let me know. 1, if you think we should throw this one out. We're done. This is one we should just not count. 2, if you think, yeah, we should keep this one. It's legit story, even though they tried to make money off of it. That doesn't really change things. Or 3, if you really don't know about this one. You're not quite sure if it should be thrown out or not. I mean, yeah, they made money off of it, but was it wrong? Go ahead and put a 3 in the chat room if that's where you stand.
So moving on from the water, I wanted to talk about a creature known as the Moss Man that is not only found in Florida, but also Louisiana.
So keep this one in mind. This will probably come up here again in a couple months.
However, it is called Pierre Malfait in that state. Originally, when I saw this creature, I thought it was going to be another Bigfoot, but how wrong I was. This being walks bipedally, stands between 7 and 8 feet tall, weighs around 400 pounds, has shining amber eyes, and is covered from head to toe in moss and foliage. It is unknown if this cryptid actually grows the moss on its body, or if it just uses it for camouflage.
Kind of reminds me of the Swamp Thing, right? You guys remember that? Man, I just dated myself, didn't I? You guys remember the Swamp Thing? But real quick, let's go back to the chat room over here and find out what you guys think about that last question. Remember, do you think that last cryptid should be counted, even though it seemed to be more of a money-making scheme? 1 for no, absolutely not, it should not. 2 for yes, it definitely should. And 3 for not really sure either way. Let's see what you guys are saying over here. We got Terry Taggart with a 3, says not really sure. Still staying very much on the fence. I like that. Got AJ the Rippin' Rabbit with the 2. Mandani Mall says hello, or Marcy says hello, Mandani Mall. Hello, Mandani Mall. Jojo says sorry I'm late. I was late on the phone with my brother. Over here in the DarkWolf's Den Show chat. Sandy B with a 3. Not quite sure. I'm not quite sure either, guys. I'm really not. And on that first question, Marcy Chan with a 3. Again, unsure. On that first question, I fully, of course, believe in sea monsters. As you guys know, I've said it more than once. I definitely believe in Nessie, things like that. And on this question here, I am so torn. Like, I get it. That it was a sea creature that the guy seen, and the mayor took over and was the one that tried to money make off of it. The actual guy really wasn't all that interested as the mayor was. So I'm kind of torn on this one. I'm definitely a 3. I'm an unsure myself. Man, Danny Mall also with a 3. So the 3s primarily have it across the board on this one. Let's go ahead and get back to our cryptid at hand. Remember, we were talking about the Moss Man.
It is known to attack humans and normally hides until its unwary prey walks by. According to legends, it can actually disguise itself as a normal tree as well.
You know, perhaps that's where the legend of the moving trees actually came from.
In 1978, a couple were walking along the beach when they thought they saw a green raincoat lying on the rocks. They didn't pay it much mind until this raincoat stood up and walked into the woods. They noted how it had glowing amber eyes, and when they later checked the spot where it was, all that remained were pieces of Spanish moss. In 1980, an elderly couple were walking in Red Reef Park when the woman noticed something odd shrouded in the foliage. She stepped closer, thinking it may have been a bird. Suddenly, the creature turned to face her with its yellow eyes, and the couple quickly left the area. According to lore, it is said that the beast can be warded off if one were to impale it with a stake made of swamp wood.
To be fair, I think any creature would run away if you impaled it with a stake of any kind of wood.
This cryptid seems like the real-world version of Swamp Thing.
Thank you, Ben. I said the exact same thing. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, if you're wondering, the person we're listening to is named Ben Miller. He's the cryptid by state expert. He's got quite a bit of these on his channel, so if you want to look ahead, go ahead and go over to Ben Miller's channel. He does some great work, as you guys know from this show.
Finally, our last main topic cryptid is the one I mentioned when I talked about New Jersey, and that is the Gatorman. This creature is said to make its home in just about any of the swamps located in both Florida and Louisiana, and as of late was even spotted in the St. Johns River as well. It looks exactly like what you would assume, a 5 to 6 foot tall bipedal alligator with muscular limbs, green scales, sharp teeth, and a long tail. It is said that reports of this being date back to the 1700s, but it didn't really start to make the news until 1840. It is said that there are more than one of these Gatormen, and that they travel in what many call tribes. They apparently have their own language with grunts and growls, and have been known to use primitive tools. I'm not sure how all this is known, but we'll just go with it for the moment.
I don't know about you guys, but to me, alligator men sound strikingly similar to the lizard or reptilian creatures. Just saying.
In a recent sighting, a college student was visiting St. Johns River when he saw an alligator climb up on the beach on all fours and then stand up and walk into the forest. In one unsettling story, a couple were out sailing when they suddenly saw a gator man looking at them through one of the portholes of their vessel. These cryptids have been known to attack humans, but I couldn't find any of those reports. Although it probably would be hard to discern a gator man attack from a regular alligator one. Also, the common saying of dead men tell no tales fits here as well. Although I must mention, much like the New Jersey gator, very little is actually known about this being. According to some sources, the whole idea of Gatorman in Florida at least, is largely unknown by many locals.
And of course, Florida and alligators go hand in hand, we know that, but this is an interesting case file here. I've never heard of the alligator men of Florida, but once again, I also must point out it reminds me a lot of the reptilian creatures that we hear about quite often. So perhaps this is the Floridian version of the reptilians. I don't know. Definitely an insane case file, and there are so many more cryptids in Florida, like the skunk ape I'm sure you guys have heard about, and many more. The problem is we have run out of time for this half, so ladies and gentlemen, that's all the cryptids we're going to be able to cover for Florida. We'll be right back for the second half, where we're going to cover the UFOs and the ghosts in that state. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf. You're listening to the DarkWolf's Den Show exclusively on Ripin' Common Sense Radio Network. And we'll be right back with the second half after these messages. Don't you touch that dial. That's right.
We gotta stoke the fires and run off the men in black. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
Oh yeah, that howl means your weekend has officially begun. Hi everyone, it's AJ the Rippin' Rabbit. Are you enjoying the DarkWolf's Den Radio Show for State of Mystery of Florida? I know I am. If you are and you haven't done so already, please make sure to thumb up that video, hit that subscribe button, and ring that bell. You'll get our notifications every time we go live. We're here every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights, bringing you the very best of common sense radio, the Ripin' Rabbit Hole. Jerry Hicks and the DarkWolf's Den Radio Show will return again tomorrow night, Thursday, August 26th. Come along with him as he howls at the Legend of the Bell Witch. It starts at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, as all shows do. It's going to be a great evening of paranormal for you. Then I'll return Friday night, August 27th, with a look at pay in cookie dough. That's right, we'll dive deep down the rabbit hole of a fascinating place where you can pay with cookie dough and how it's used as a major currency. I told you we had some weird subjects on the lineup for this week down the rabbit hole, and that is definitely one of them. You won't want to miss it. Friday, August 27th. Then Saturday night, come along with me as we explore strange life. That's right. We're going to look at the creatures that live these strange lives. You will be absolutely blown away, shocked and amazed. Saturday, August 28th. Then we'll end out the weekend right together with you Sunday night, August 29th, with Yours Fresh, a fascinating and interesting new concept that my special guest, Justin K. Smith, will be here to tell us all about. He is the founder of GetYoursFresh.com. A really great platform that I can't wait to talk to Justin more about. And that'll end out the weekend right together with you. Sunday, August 29th. Oh my goodness, my oh my, how time does fly. Can you believe it? That will wrap up the month of August here at Rip and Common Sense Radio. I cannot believe the month is already over, which means the first Sunday of the month next week, Beat Eugene will return, and then the following Tuesday is going to be Tuesday night videos in the Backstage 24/7 VIP chat lounge over on our website at ripinrabbithole.com. If you haven't done so already, please hop on over there and sign up for your exclusive Backstage VIP pass. It's going to give you unfiltered access down the rabbit hole where the conversation continues. We'll return to tonight's State of Mystery, Florida, on the DarkWolf's Den Radio Show for Wednesday, August 25th. You're listening to the Rip and Common Sense Radio Network, the Rip and Rabbit Hole.
Reestablishing multiverse connection. Connection reestablished and secure.
This is My Life DIY, and
Hi, this is JoJo.
Hi, my name is Oz.
Hey everybody, it's AJ the Rippin' Rabbit.
This is Cynthia Sue Larson.
This is your man Meta, aka Propagate This Light.
And you're now listening
to DarkWolf's Den.
The DarkWolf's Den Show on Rippin' Common Sense Radio.
If you were meant to be controlled, you would have come with a remote, but you didn't. And that's why you listen to the DarkWolf's Den Show. Now, here is your host, Jerry Hicks.
That's right, I am Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf, and welcome back to the second half of the DarkWolf's Den Show for Wednesday, August 25th, 2021. So whether you're on the edge of reality, the edge of the galaxy, or the edge of your seat, we're glad you chose us to be right there with you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us tonight, we have covered the cryptids of the state of Florida so far in the State of Mystery series. We've covered everything from Florida Man to the sea monsters, a swamp thing creature, as well as the alligator man that is reminiscent of the lizard reptilian aliens. And speaking of aliens, Florida has its fair share, of course, of UFOs, being a very much a hot spot of UFO activity. But we're going to cover a story tonight that is I don't normally, as you guys know, cover really famous and popular stories. I leave that to those other shows. There's plenty of shows out there. However, I would be remiss if I did not actually include this particular case file in this episode. So, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Gulf Breeze UFO case file.
The Gulf Breeze case. Widely considered now to be a hoax, the Gulf Breeze case remains one of the most famous and intriguing UFO cases of the 20th century.
This is actually the first time that I've heard that has been deemed a hoax. I actually studied this case quite a bit, and I fully believe that it is a real case, but let's listen to the evidence and let you guys decide.
Gulf Breeze is a small town in northwest Florida, just south of Pensacola. At the time of the alleged incident, it had a population of just under 6,000 residents, much like it does today. On the 11th of November 1987, building contractor Ed Walters was working late. His attention was distracted by an unknown light source which seemed to be coming from his yard. From his window, he was only partially able to see a glowing object low in the sky, half hidden behind a tall pine tree. He ran outside to get a better view and was amazed at what he saw. The object emitting the light was shaped like a spinning top with a blue glowing ring on the underside. Walters ran back to the house to grab his camera and was able to get several shots of the object as it headed towards the road. By now, the object was hovering just above his head. Walters then claims that a beam of blue light struck him and started to lift him from the ground. He heard a voice in his head saying, "Don't worry, we will not harm you." He then started to see a series of images in his mind, which he later described as if they were turning the pages of a book. Walters then claims he woke up in the middle of the road and the object was gone. On the 17th of November, Ed Walters took his story along with the photographs he had taken to the local newspaper, the Gulf Breeze Sentinel. Wanting to remain anonymous, Walters told the editor that both the story and the photos were given to him by a third party referred to as Mr. X. Part of the account given to the newspaper was as follows. Bang. Something hit me, all over my body. I tried to lift my arms, I couldn't move them. They were blue, I was blue, everything was blue. I was in a blue light beam. I was trying to breathe, but my chest wouldn't expand. My feet lifted off the floor. A voice groaned in my head. "We will not harm you." I screamed. The voice said, "Calm down." I screamed, "Put me down." No control, just a piercing smell, a little scent of ammonia mixed with heavy cinnamon that scorched and then stuck to the back of my throat.
And as we know from previous episodes, the telepathy part of alien abductions is actually quite a common phenomenon that is reported.
A hum filled my head. Wham, I hit the ground. The blue light was gone. The hum was still in my head, but quickly decreased, and the noise was gone. The next encounter came on the 20th of November. Walters claimed to hear a hum and voices talking to each other just on the edge of his hearing. He proceeded outside and saw a small dot of light falling from the sky, which suddenly pulled up and began to hover. Walters took a photo of it. Almost 2 weeks later, on the 2nd of December, Walters was woken up by his dog barking. He went over to the glass doors, pulled back the blinds, and what he saw caused him to fall backwards with fear and shock. Standing right outside, he could see a pale, 4 feet tall humanoid creature with large black eyes. He claimed the creature stared at him for a few seconds before turning to walk away. His account of the event is as follows. I gave chase. As my feet left the shelter of my back porch, I was hit by a blue beam and held immobile while the creature fled into the vacant field at the back of my house. As soon as I could move, I retrieved my camera and took a picture of the UFO, shooting the blue beam into the field. I believe that it was picking up the creature I had seen.
And these sightings carried on for quite a while for this gentleman, but I do know in the late 80s, early 90s, when this became a thing, on Unsolved Mysteries is where I seen it, a large amount of paranormal researchers and ufologists did make their way to Gulf Breeze, and quite a few of them reported strange activities. Quite a bit of evidence came out of that area. But what do you guys think? Do you think it is a real case, a real phenomenon of a hot spot in Florida? Go ahead, put a 1 if you think that is definitely what's going on. Put a 2 if you think that it is a hoax and just somebody, again, trying to make money off something. Or, once again, go ahead and put a 3 in the chat room if you are absolutely unsure. While we're waiting on those responses, we'll go ahead and start digging into the ghost stories of Florida.
The Olustee Battlefield.
And as we know, battlefields are a classic haunting area.
The Olustee Battlefield in Baker played home to the biggest and bloodiest battle Florida has ever seen, lasting for over 4 hours. The death toll totaled over 3,000. Visitors to the battlefield report the phantom sounds of gunshots, cannon fire, and cries of war. Several investigations have yielded abnormally high EMF levels as well as some interesting EVPs. On more than one occasion, passing motorists have reported seeing what they thought were full-scale reenactments of the battle, only to find later there was nothing scheduled for that day.
And I have had the exact same type of reports from Fort Donelson Battlefield, of people seeing and hearing battles going on, reenactments, if you will, that should not be there. But speaking of should not be there, what do you guys think about the Gulf Breeze UFO over in the chat? Should it be there, or is it just a hoax? Ladies and gentlemen, let's see what you guys have said. My Life DIY, welcome. Glad to have you here tonight. Glad you were able to make it. I seen you brought your note earlier. JoJo's also jumped over here in the AJ's chat room. My Life says 1111 for sure. Definitely thinks it is real. Terry Taggart with a 3, quite unsure. Man, Danny Mall with the 1, definitely with the 1 saying yes. Sandy B with the 1 saying absolutely believes that it's real. Rippin' Rabbit Hole with the 1 and Marcy Chan. So 1s across the board except for Terry Taggart over there with that dropping in of the 3. And, this is one case that I really, really do think was 100% absolutely the real deal thing. I really do. It's an intriguing case, but there was so much evidence caught by paranormal researchers, independent researchers, so many pictures, so much video. I really believe there was something going on in the sky. Now, whether to say that's aliens or our military, that's a whole nother debate. But I do believe there really was something that these folks were seeing.
The Jonathan Dickinson State Park. The Jonathan Dickinson State Park in Hobe Sound has become infamous due to the many different paranormal occurrences in the area. Those who visit the park, especially after dark, have reported multiple happenings, such as orbs throughout the trees, a feeling of being watched, and mysterious cold spots even on hot nights. The most renowned ghost here is that of the Wild Man of Loxahatchee, a fur trapper named Vince Nelson in life. He appears as a large, dark, lumbering shape covered from head to toe in dark furs. On several occasions, he has even conversed with visitors, warning them against visiting nearby Native American burial grounds or telling them that he was, in fact, murdered by his brother.
I don't know about you guys, but if I'm having a conversation with someone and they bring up that they were murdered by their brother, I'd be a little bit weirded out. How about you?
Captain Tony's Saloon. Captain Tony's Saloon in Key West was built in 1852 and has made many most haunted lists in the past, as well as hosted various paranormal research groups. Visitors to the saloon report various apparitions, including a child that was killed in the restroom, figures in old-timey clothing, and a woman in a blue dress who is believed to have been hung from the tree in the center of the building. Visitors also report feeling suddenly nervous or scared, hearing disembodied whispers and laughter, and the sound of antique instruments playing long-lost melodies.
What's intriguing about this is the same thing that we've brought up a couple times, and I've actually had brought up to me in a local case file that I'm working on personally, is the mimicking of the sounds that aren't actually there. Music playing, doors slamming, whatever the case may be. But this mimicking of sounds is something that is really intriguing me about a lot of these case files lately.
Disney World.
Now, I know a lot of you have heard the story already of Walt Disney's ghost in the firehouse, so I'm not going to cover that. Once again, there are hundreds of channels who have covered that story if you're interested. But there are some stories of Disneyland ghosts that you probably have not heard.
Disney World in Orlando opened its doors in 1971 and pulls in more than 52 million visitors a year. With a number so large, it's not hard to speculate that some of them may have never left. The ghost of a former employee has been known to appear to visitors in various locations throughout the park, chatting with guests, and even making recommendations on which rides to check out next.
I think I'd be a little scared to take ride advice from the ghost of the park. He might be trying to bring me over to his side, right?
Legend says that a woman devastated over the loss of her 7-year-old son left his ashes in his favorite ride, the Haunted Mansion. Guests and employees alike have seen the misty image of a little boy peeking his head out, watching patrons to the park silently.
And that's definitely not the first time that I have heard the story of the mother that put the son's ashes on the ride. As creepy as that is, if that was the last wish, but still, I could totally see how that could make a haunting scenario, if you will. Speaking of haunting scenarios, there's a couple more in Key West, like Robert the Doll's home of the museum that he resides in is in Key West, as well as the Concha Hotel. This is an interesting hotel. It's played home to people like Hemingway and as well as Tennessee Williams, who wrote the award-winning A Streetcar Named Desire, which is a really good play, but it's also got a really interesting history of ghost reports. Guests in the hotel have reported feeling someone tap them on the shoulder, but when they turn to see who it is, there's no one there. Another interesting story is about the Bellman who fell off the elevator. That's an interesting one indeed. It was a New Year's Eve party after the restoration of the hotel, and the bellman who had called the elevator, and when the doors opened and the bell sounded, he backed into the elevator, pulling his cart with him. Unfortunately, the elevator had malfunctioned and the car stopped at a floor above him, which means he stepped into an empty elevator shaft and fell to his death. His spirit seems to be most active on the 5th floor and, to no surprise, around the elevator. Many guests have reported hearing his scream followed by a deafening crash, while others have seen the young man in the elevator, perhaps trying to complete his task. This 7-story hotel has also been the scene of many suicides, as some 13 people have leaped to their death off the rooftop observation deck. Some of these spirits may also remain. A lawyer who leapt to his death in 1992 after being accused of embezzlement can still be seen pacing back and forth, contemplating. One gentleman who took the leap in 2006 reportedly downed a glass of Chardonnay before doing so. Since then, patrons have reported that their glasses of Chardonnay were sometimes suddenly jerked from their hands by some unseen force. Could the spirit of a former employee be trapped within these walls for eternity? Or is it all in our heads? What do you guys think? Do you guys think Florida is absolutely packed with some crazy paranormal? Do you think that it definitely is a state of mystery? Or perhaps we're barking up the wrong tree? In the end, ladies and gentlemen, all you can do is take a look at the evidence, apply a little common sense, and you be the judge. We got to close it out. That's right, that's it for this episode of the DarkWolf's Den Show for Wednesday, August 25th, 2021. So whether you're on the edge of reality, the edge of the galaxy, or the edge of your seat, we're glad you chose us to be right there with you. Ladies and gentlemen, the den may be closing, but don't you worry. The weekend fun has only just begun. That's right. Come back tomorrow, Thursday, August 26th, 2021, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, as we cover the Bell Witch. That's right. This is a legend that I grew up with here in Tennessee. It is actually taught in the schools in Tennessee, or at least it was when I was going to school. It's a very, very well-known local legend, and a legend that I cannot wait to share with you guys tomorrow, Thursday, August 26th, 2021, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central on the DarkWolf's Den Show, exclusively here on Ripid Common Sense Radio Network. Then on Friday, August 27th, 2021, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, AJ the Rippin' Rabbit returns with an all-new episode of the Rippin' Rabbit Hole live show. That's right. On Friday, he's going to be talking about paying in cookie dough. Now, I got to admit, this sounds kind of fun to me. Paying in literal cookie dough pieces, that you can make your own currency literally. I've got to find out where this is, and we will find out where this is on Friday, August 27th, 2021, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, once again on AJ the Rippin' Rabbit's Rippin' Rabbit Hole live show. Then on Saturday, August 28th, 2021, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, AJ comes back to the airwaves with another episode of that Rippin' Rabbit Hole live show once again with Strange Life. There's strange life all throughout this planet. It makes you wonder what kind of strange life exists everywhere in the universe, right? And I know I've seen a lot of strange life around this society lately, but that's a whole nother story. Anyway, AJ will be talking about all that and more on Saturday, August 27th, 28th, 2021, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, right here on Rippin' Common Sense Radio, the Rippin' Rabbit Hole. Then on Sunday, August 28th, 2021, 29th, 2021, see, I can't even get my days straight. 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, AJ the Rippin' Rabbit introduces and has along with him special guest Justin Smith to talk about yours fresh living, fresh eating, fresh foods, and fresh life. All things that are good for you, and there are a lot of tips and tricks that I'm sure we're going to find out about on how to live much, much more fresh of a lifestyle. That's going to be on Sunday with Justin Smith on the Rippin' Rabbit Hole live show, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, exclusively on Rippin', once again, Common Sense Radio, the Rippin' Rabbit Hole. Speaking of the Rippin' Rabbit Hole, make sure you hop on over to the Rippin' Rabbit Hole and sign up for our Backstage Pass. That's right, that's going to get you access to everything else on the site. Full of fun over there, that, by the way. When you sign up for this email or sign up for this Backstage Pass, your email address will receive one email a week with all of the DarkWolf's dens and all of the Rippin' Rabbit Holes that will be covered all weekend long. But that's not the only perk. That's just the first perk when you sign up for the rippinrabbithole.com. Like the 24/7 Backstage Lounge, where next Tuesday, Mr. Champion Sports Nation will be hosting the TNV or Tuesday Night Videos, the first of the month, every month. Don't forget about Beat Eugene next week also, guys, the first of the month. And while you're on the rippinrabbithole.com, also make sure you drop down the rabbit hole. That is our exclusive social media section over there. If you have information you'd like to share that you don't want to be censored, go on over and drop it down the rabbit hole. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. As for me, I've got to get out of here. My name is Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf. And on behalf of AJ the Rippin' Rabbit, Chick Mandela Effect, Michael Musco, Walt House, everybody involved at Rippin' Common Sense Radio, as well as Tom Bayless and Red Shed Studios. Get it, Tom? If you're looking for a custom soundtrack for your next project, make sure you check out Red Shed Studios. Tell them Dark Wolf sent you. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of all these folks, my name is Jerry Hicks, and remember, until next time, stay awake, but dare to dream. Good night, everybody. How? Yeah. That's right.
things are better left unknown. And I'll never find you here, 'cause no one's ever home. Oh, what a widow, a peaceful spider. When the glass is clean, she's a sneaky hider. Hide the lies and the alibis. Oh, what a sinner. Is it in her? What's the truth in this riddle? Is love really just this simple? I can't seem to find my way in this world that never stays. What a widow, a peaceful spider. When the glass is clean, she's a sneaky hider. Hide the lies and the alibis. What a sinner, is it in her? Is this real? Just illusion? I'm lost in the wonderland of confusion. I'm lost in a wonderland of confusion. Is this real or just illusion? Manifestation or a dark delusion? Is this real or just illusion? I'm lost in a wonderland